What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 476 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we'll be doing our usual breakdown here of the current events and some rumors and some news and some gossip and some trademarks and some changes to release dates and other things that are happening now here in the world of pro wrestling over the past few days. I'm Tony Mango. I've got Robert DeFelice.
Hey everybody, we're back at it again with another hot tags.
It's not the hottest of hot tags. It's kind of a weak.
Dude, today was today personally, the news day was so slow that people were writing stories about hey, Malcolm Bivens apologizes for interrupting Dakota Kai's Busset Challenge video. Like,
Yeah, it's
like we,
some weeks we get where it's like half the world changed, and other weeks we get what we've kind of got here, where it's kind of three stories. It's like, oh, they've changed some things, and wait, what happened on TV? That sort of things.
and you know what? That's okay.
Yeah, I'm
I,
fine with having a not only a quicker hot tag, sorry everybody, but also just not feeling like the world's going crazy all that much.
ain't that the best feeling in the world these days?
Although I am a little bit annoyed that I had to change a couple things about the pay-per-view. We'll get into that. We'll get into SmackDown. And, obviously we've got a COVID test, and there's other things that are still, meh. But at least it's not like, here's a whole bunch of horrible arrests or, like, God forbid, any other health concerns, any, like, passings or anything. I'll take a week like this after some of the other ones we've had most recently.
Absolutely.
So with anything else, and with the stuff that we're covering here, drop a comment below. Tell us what you have to say. You should be dropping a comment on the YouTube video in particular. But if you're not listening to us on YouTube and you want to involve yourself in the conversation in some other fashion, you could tweet at us at SmarkOutMoment. You could post something on the Facebook page, facebook.com/SmarkOutMoment. Follow those, by the way, while you're at it. Or you could put something up on the page on SmarkOutMoment.com as well, because we've got the discuss page underneath. So not page, but you know what I mean, the little module. So drop a comment, tell us your thoughts on these. And if you are on the YouTube side of things, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that already. Ring that little notification bell as well. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the applause button, hit the join button. If you don't know what the join button means, that's the same as the Patreon. And if you want to help support us on the monetary side of things, that is the best way to do that, because even the $1 donations help out quite a bit, especially the more that people do that. And the more that people do that, the more that the other tiers can go down in price, because then I'm not going to try to have to, balance things out. So the $10 Darkcast tiers, the more people that do that, the more that we can start shifting that over to the $5 Darkcast tier instead. Those are Patreon exclusive episodes. There's the Pick Your Poison tier if you want to take advantage of that and request some kind of a special feature or a gimmick of sorts that you want us to do on the website or the podcast. So check that stuff out. And do the same thing over there for fanboysanonymous.com. We've been doing more stuff over on that site, and I've been really enjoying doing that. I know that Guest 5 in particular has been enjoying some of the stuff that we've been doing there. We're actually going to record another thing afterward here. After we get done the hot tags, we're going to do a bonus features, which is the Patreon exclusive for fanboys. It's kind of the Darkcast, but Darkcast doesn't work as a pun for that. We're going to do first impressions of WandaVision, episodes 1 and 2. So consider donating to the Patreon for fanboysanonymous.com as well if you want to help us grow for that site, because it's all funneling back to me, and then I'm funneling it all back into the websites. That's how it works. And check out the merchandise shops on TeePublic and Redbubble for all those things too, and a Mango Tees. Look at that, all the plugs out of the way. So let's just get into this. And let's talk about trademarks. Woo! Everybody's gonna go crazy now. They're like, trademarks, it's about time. You're getting the next incarnations of Qian Sha and all those. We're not we don't have a whole lot of updates on that. We unfortunately, all we know now is that Nash Carter and Wesley are an MSK, but we'll talk about that when we get into the NXT side of things. But it's not WWE that trademarked a bunch of new things this week. It's Matt Cardona. He trademarked Major Pod Network and MC True Long Island Story.
First of all, I'm gonna blow your mind. It's been 10 years since he started the True Long Island Story. It was February 4th, I believe, 2011.
Now, I believe the 10-year mark on that more than right before we were recording this. We realized that it was like 7 years since Adam Rose. That struck me as crazy. Still, though, 10 years. Wow.
Yeah, 10 years. I'm surprised he's bringing that back. We don't know how, obviously. He's kind of to himself right now. He's, he said he wanted to wait till COVID was done to really branch out into the independent world. And I respect that. He did some shots for AEW. Apparently, they weren't like keen on bringing him in full time. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where, hey, we'll let you be on your own first.
Could be that he
Uh,
wants more money than what they're willing to give him. Because
it
he's
could
an
be.
established enough star at this point that he shouldn't take the same type of money as like Top Flight. But at the same time, as much as I'm a fan of Zack Ryder, you can't give him like Hulk Hogan going to WCW type money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You give him Hacksaw Jim Duggan going to WWE kind of money.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much they gave him,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I said that like if I know.
right, yeah. We both just
Like,
assumed that we knew what that was, and both immediately realized that we didn't know what it was.
well, basically what we're saying is Hacksaw Jim Duggan is like the the Zack Ryder of 1994. There you go.
He was United States champion. Zack Ryder is United States champion.
It adds up.
You got one
So,
says ho, and the other says woo woo woo. He's a Zach saw Jim Duggan. There you go, Zach. I got you a new trademark you can do.
All right, we're not getting any better there. Just move on.
I will be interested to see what his True Long Island story thing could be without the shackles of WWE over his head. Shackles aren't over your head. I don't know why I went with that analogy, but Major Pod Network. I'm assuming that's just basically their YouTube type stuff, right?
So they have the Major Brothers Wrestling Figure podcast, and then they have the Figure Wrestling Federation podcast. I'm guessing that they're just gonna start merging, and you have a network of podcasts.
Which, as somebody who has his own podcast and his own podcast for fanboys and used to do the All Talk Show, which I would love to do, and I have another one that I'm working on at some point next year, whenever the fuck anything can actually happen, with a couple movies. There's just too many podcasts these days. When's the podcast bubble gonna break? We keep talking about the whole streaming and cable and whatever. Eventually, the podcast bubble's gonna break too.
My guess would be soon.
It's gotta be sometime soon because, man, everybody's got a podcast. And look, I mean, if there's a market for certain things, then that's totally fine. But even just within the wrestling bubble, there's too many because I can't imagine anybody listening to every single wrestling podcast that's out there just
Jeremy
for like
Lambert
the people.
of Fightful.com. He really tries his damnedest, and I love him for it. He's a great guy. He listens to a lot of them, and I just don't get it. Here's what I listen to. For fun, like on my own accord, I will listen to The New Day, Feel the Power, 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, Something to Wrestle With, if the topic is good for both of those shows. And that's about it. Like, if I see, hey, Renee Young is going to talk to CM Punk, okay, I want to listen to that. I'll listen to that. But, like, I don't listen to podcasts as much as you might think I do.
Well, there's like Lillian Garcia's got hers, Renee, there's Swerve, and After the Bell, and Jericho, and Arn Anderson, and Ryback, and
So Ryback, I completely ignore. Double A, it's all of the Conrad podcasts are good in their own way, right? But I really only stick to Bischoff and Bruce. Double A I'll listen to on occasion. Again, if the topic's got to be really good.
well, that's another negative when it comes to a lot of those. Like, I've only listened to part of Arn's, because if they're talking a lot about NWA and WCW, I just never was really all that into it. So they can talk about, hey, Bash at the Beach, whatever. And I'm like, I have no idea what this is. Like, just no context. If they start talking about the Dungeon of Doom, I know very little about the Dungeon of Doom. If they start talking about this guy back in the 70s was where I'm like, all right, I don't really need to follow that. And that's one of the reasons why I don't check out JR's podcast too, is because if he gets too deep into George Hackenschmidt was whatever, then,
Listen, we all make fun of JR with the whole my push. But this dude on his podcast, for whatever reason, really has just he just seems so upset all the time, and I worry about him.
Yeah.
Like he gets so angry I can't listen.
So I don't know who would be on the Major Pod Network other than, Myers and Cardona.
For some reason I feel like Hornswoggle would be. Just a wild guess.
Yeah, I could see that being the case. They're friends with him. But hey, I'll pay attention and see what happens. If something pops up that's interesting, I'll check it out. I liked the Figure It Out show that they used to do. So if they did something more along that line, I'd be checking that out. Oh, that wouldn't really work as a podcast. You got to really be able to see them do things. If they just go, oh, look what I found, then you can't see it. You can't really, do it that way. But I'll check out True Long Island Story. It was good for what it was at the time.
Yeah. I'll definitely be looking. I like them a lot.
So let's talk about WWE Superstar Spectacle. I hate the name.
Wow.
First off.
Wow, let's just go right there, huh, Tony? What's wrong with the name?
It's just bland. Superstar Spectacle? I mean, I've used the word Superstar blank in a lot of things. We have Superstar Scores, Superstar Spotlight. I did Superstar Showdown, and then they eventually did Super Showdown, and I'm like, all right, well, I won't do that anymore because that's a little bit too much of the same thing. But Superstar Spectacle? I don't know. It's just like WWE Main Event. There's nothing to it. I wanted them to, first off, I wanted this to just be NXT India. I'm still fairly certain they're going to go with it.
Hold on. This is right now. This is
it's a special leading to that
Super Showdown for the Indian market.
And why not call it Super Showdown?
Because that's what the Saudis get. No, this is India.
Yeah, they did the Australia one.
No. That was Super Show Down. As in
that was Super Showdown Under.
Yeah, there you go. I can't believe the straight face. The reality is, they want to feel special. Hey, you guys you're in India. You get the spectacle. That's the deal.
Not all that good of a name in my mind. They could have done better. I don't know what they could have called it other than that. Like if somebody's like, well, what would you have named it? I'd actually have to do some research into some names that make sense and everything, because I don't know the Indian culture well enough to be able to say oh, this term, we always joke about that I still don't know how to pronounce the thing, but it's the WAL and then 3 and then OOHA.
It's Waluha.
Waluha? I keep calling it Wal 3-uha because I'm like, why is there a 3? Because I'm just an ignorant fuck. Perfectly willing to admit it's my flaw, not theirs. And I don't know what I would call this instead, but I would think something like that would be okay, what is this? And it's this Indian word that means such and such. I'd be like, all right, cool. But just Superstar Spectacle. I mean, they can't do the Ring Ka-King thing, but the Ring Ka-King was a good name,
All right, let's get into this a little bit based on what WWE actually says. First of all, it says WWE Superstar Spectacle, an unprecedented 2-hour television event for India featuring WWE's Indian performers alongside Raw, SmackDown, and NXT will premiere exclusively on Sony 10-1, Sony 10-3, and Sony Max on India's Republic Day, Tuesday, January 26th at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, with commentary available in both English and Hindi. All right, so let's dive into that real quick. This shit ain't on the network.
Well, they did say elsewhere at one point, 9:30 a.m. on the WWE network. So
I thought we did the math, and it came out to 9:30.
No, they had that on something.
Oh,
I
did they?
remember specifically they put it on something on WWE.com because I had originally come across it through there. Let me see if I can find that again. Superstar Spectacle, 9:30 a.m. All right, well, this isn't the report itself. Oh, wait, no, here it is. I think that I found it on here. So they did change that originally, but for instance, on comicbook.com, it has listed about 9:30 a.m. or whatever. I had seen something about it being on the WWE Network, and there's really no reason for it to not be on the WWE Network. But here's what I think. Don't know for sure. What I think is happening. They are saying that it's exclusively on those networks. Because remember, we got that thing recently where it said the WWE Network is not available in India anymore.
Yep.
So I think
yeah, you're right. I see where you're going.
I think it's if you are going to want to watch this outside of India, you have to watch it on the network. If you're watching it in India, you have to watch it on Sony 10.
I see what you're saying, pal.
Because it's Sony 10.1, Sony 10.3, and Sony Max. But it says, I mean, the way that they phrase it, unprecedented 2-hour special event, blah, 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 will premiere exclusively on those 3 channels on India's Republic Day, with commentary available in both English and Hindi. If it was just an Indian show, that would be really weird because they're not doing it in India. They're doing it in the network, in the Thunderdome. So they got the ability to put it on the network. And I can't imagine that they would say nobody other than the Indian market can watch this. That's really strange. They want people to watch it on the network. And you would think that people that are, from Canada or from, I don't know, Botswana. Is that even I don't even know if that's
yes, Botswana's a real thing.
I don't know if that would be one of those things where it's one of those old timey Myanmar where the name changes and remember we established I'm an ignorant fuck.
I like that you're embracing it.
I will fully admit I am a flawed person. If you're gonna watch it outside of those markets, you got to have some way to do it. Otherwise, what do they expect people to do? Just not ever watch the show unless they're from one country? So I'm assuming they just haven't said anything in these press releases because they don't want that confusion, and they'll probably have. When we get a little bit closer to it, which is really close as it is, so I don't know why they're not promoting it, but maybe they'll do something where they'll be like, our friends over in India will be able to watch it exclusively on these, whatever like that, and if elsewhere, you can check it out on the WWE Network at 9:30 in the morning, which is kind of rough for me, but, it's not meant for me.
You don't fucking sleep. Top line of the people.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe if maybe that would be the day I'd go to bed at 9:15, huh? But that's happening. They've announced in some capacity, which I don't think that's going to be the case, but cards always subject to change. They've said Drew McIntyre, Rey Mysterio, Charlotte Flair, AJ Styles, Bayley, The New Day, Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, Natalya, Ricochet, Ric Flair, a whole bunch of other people that we'll get into in a minute too. So it's not just people from India. It's not just people who have some kind of Indian heritage to them. They're going to throw in, AJ Styles and all that, or at least they're advertising that right now. They might do that kind of thing where it's like, well, everything changed and now it's just going to be.
They're not going to do a 2-hour show with the giant Zanjeer, Tony. They're going to. No, they're not.
No, I mean, they might replace, obviously, Drew McIntyre doesn't seem like he would be as likely because of the whole COVID situation, but they're going to try to put on some names like a Rey Mysterio and all that just to get people to feel like it's special. They're not going to go, hey, sorry, we decided not to have McIntyre for safety reasons, and Charlotte's gone, and Styles isn't there, and Mysterio's not there, but you guys get Mojo. They're not going to do that. Sorry, Mojo. It's just, that's the way the things are.
What did Mojo ever do to you, Tony? Come on.
I'm sure something.
Okay.
Imagine that being the case. Mojo Rawley's leaving a comment as one of those anonymous names on like the heel and face turn list, just being like, "Hey, asshole, update this," you know.
I have a family, bro. Like,
for what it's worth, I do actually like Mojo Rawley. So, yeah. Let's talk about the other names that they put out here. They've said this is how they're marketing the extra names. They say, with matches announced in the coming weeks, WWE fans can look forward to witnessing appearances by 10 Indian WWE talent, including WWE Superstar. I don't know why they needed to specify that. Jinder Mahal, the first WWE champion of Indian descent. Makes sense. Why not? If he's able to wrestle,
right now
then
why they needed to clarify that. Read the rest of the names.
the Bollywood Boys, WWE superstars Samir and Sunil Singh.
Are they though? Are they superstar? Go ahead.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah, I'm being an asshole.
The first all-Indian tag team in WWE, Induced Share, featuring Rinku and Sarov.
Well, wait a minute, like, come on now. Like, is that... Well, this is great. This is history. They're the first Indian tag team. Well, whose fault is that?
Can they even really be classified?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Whoa. What happened to the Bollywood Boys?
Yeah, but like, what happened to the Bollywood Boys? What happened to Davari and Muhammad Hassan?
Well,
Are they?
Well, no. I'm gonna blow your fucking head. Hassan's Italian. Hassan has nothing to do with anything in the Middle East.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Mind blown. Then again, when you get into the whole idea of like Jinder Mahal is Canadian and he lives in Florida.
I think that's ironically. I think that's why they're saying this about Indie Share, because
Yeah,
they're actually Indian.
that's true. Then, on a technicality when it comes to that sort of thing. Well, we're talking about a company that had Yokozuna, so it's. Although I guess it's not really. Yokozuna doesn't mean Japanese performer. It's that style. So I guess he always could have been Yokozuna. He's a Yokozuna performer. So
he could have been a sumo champion.
Yeah. So again, I'm an ignorant fuck. NXT superstar Jeet Rama. It's been a long time since we've seen Jeet Rama. I can't even remember the last time that he popped up on NXT TV. It's got to be 3 years. You know what?
I don't even know what he looks like.
We're going over to Cage Match. Cage Match is a good website for this kind of stuff. Shout out to cagematch.net. So, Jeet Rama, the last time that he wrestled, according to Cage Match, was a house show for NXT Live. He beat Cal Bloom by DQ in March
he did.
of last year. Obviously, because March of this year hasn't happened yet. It may not happen. I don't know why I went such a dark way there. Jesus Christ.
Oh, Christ.
So switching it over to TV shows and pay-per-views, it comes up with nothing.
Woo.
He had to have been on TV.
We have never seen Jeet Rama. You heard it here first. Jeet Rama making his television debut on Superstar Spectacle.
You know what? He is not listed as a single TV match. Yeah. I've seen him in something. No. Wait, maybe no, that's a dark match. Okay. He had a dark match on NXT episodes 243 and 246 in April of 2017. He beat John Skyler and he beat Max Stardom.
Love that guy.
I don't know either of them.
Neither do I.
But he's been in NXT since 2015.
That's amazing.
And I mean, if you look at this list, he had beaten Chad Gable in 2016, around the time that Gable was teaming with Jason Jordan. He beat Kona Reeves back when he was not even going by Kona Reeves. He fought.
What was he going by before Kona Reeves?
Noah, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Noah Kakoa. Was it Noah Kakoa?
It was even before that. It was Potjes. I think that's his real name.
Noah.
If I remember correctly.
Hot Jess.
I'm sure there's some kind of
Noah Kakoa. I remember that name.
I think he might have been.
Oh, that's an awesome name. Noah Kakoa sounds a lot cooler than Cody Reeves.
Although
Like he sounds
I
like
like Dakota Reeves' name.
he sounds like Johnny Tsunami when he's Noah Kakoa. I like it.
G Rama's been in the era of Alexander Wolf and Sawyer Fulton together. Don't even remember that.
Sanity.
Oh God, yeah. Sawyer Fulton was in Insanity. Yeah.
He was the
Before
S.
Damo.
He was the S part of Sanity.
The S part.
You do know that, right?
So it was Sawyer, Alexander
Sawyer,
Wolf,
Alexander,
Nikki
Nikki,
Cross.
and Young.
So who are the I and the T?
Well, Nikki and I, and the T is just there.
T's just they should have added a T somewhere in there. Huh.
That's Sanity.
Is that why it's the capitalization was the way that it was?
Yeah.
Mind blown a second time.
Nikki was lowercase, I think, 'cause she's the girl, and you can make the assumption there that you want to, but
Makes a lot more sense than Senny. You needed the T. Huh. And then they just decided, let's get Big Damo in there and we'll call him Killian Dane.
And then Fulton got hurt, and they were like, sucks to be you. Here's Killian Dane.
You know, if they would have just gone with a name that either started with an S or had the T in there, it would have made more sense. Instead of Killian Dane.
Isn't that crazy? I'm blowing your mind, aren't I?
This is all news to me. So.
We're learning here, Tony. You want to know what the hot tags were? The hot tags are we're learning.
It's a learning experience. That's what it is. Hopefully you guys are learning out there too. So they have those. They have Kavita Devi. Not at all surprised about that.
WrestleMania competitor, Kavita Devi. Don't you slight Kavita Devi. WrestleMania Battle Royal competitor.
They don't have that down though. They just have Kavita Devi, the first Indian woman to sign a WWE contract. That's worded.
Why they signed her.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
That's worded very strange. The first Indian woman to sign a WWE contract. That's like,
God, the woman's competed at WrestleMania. You couldn't give her some props. You had to be like, hey, she signed with us. Look.
Yeah. We've got the Great Khali trainees, Giant Zanjeer, 7'2", 340 pounds.
And he's trained by Khali. I can only imagine that this man will be the greatest wrestler of all time.
And Dilsher Shank, I think it's pronounced Dilsher. Dilsher Shanky, 7 foot 310.
Yeah. Why? Why are these men so big, Tony?
They drank their milk. They ate their vegetables. You know.
I should have fucking drank my milk.
It all goes down to the milk. It sounds so stupid. It's like a conspiracy theory. It all comes down to the milk. Everybody, you know. I mean, what happened with JFK? You know, to follow the milk. You know, just everything comes down to the milk. Why are we here? What took out the dinosaurs? You know, it's where in the world's Carmen Sandiego? Check the milk.
Okay.
I'm in a weird mood today. There's also Guru Raj, the first Indian-born high flyer in WWE.
What the fuck is it? Hold on. What does it even mean? Again, what happened to the Bollywood boys?
I guess they're not Indian-born. I don't know. Or they're not high flyers, or, you know.
What does that mean?
It means we got him. What do we put him down? Well, he's not the first Indian man to sign a contract. So he can.
Well, what can he do? Can he fly? I think so. Hey, can you fly? Yeah. All right. We're good.
It would have been kind of funny though if they would have done the same thing with like how NXT Superstar G Rama, if they just go Guru Raj. And then that's it. It's just like, well, who is he? It's Guru Raj. That's what he is.
That's all you need to know.
So I don't know who some of these people are. We've gotten some confirmation now that some of the people, it's just that we've had their names changed, and that kind of is applicable in like the Performance Center recruits that we've gotten before. So again, I don't know how to pronounce their real names, but Sukhwinder, I think it is, Grewal is Giant Zanjeer. Laxmi Kant Rajput is Guru Raj. The Shanky Singh is
Is
Dilshir
that Dilshir
Shanky.
Shanky?
Gurvinder Singh. There's that whole thing. So they had there was a whole Gurvinder Singh into Shanky Singh, and now Dilshir Shanky. And Jeet Rama is still Jeet Rama, so that didn't really change. We also have Tony Gill is not listed on here because he's
Because
not
he's in
supposed to be a
NXT
part
UK.
of that.
Because
But
he's NXT UK.
right. So he is Gursinder Singh, and now we know more about the trademark side of things like that he is going to be Rohan Raja.
But no, but they trademarked Tony Gill.
That's what's even more confusing. So I don't know if they're just going trademark crazy. Like they just gave a list of like 100 variations to the trademark people, like Laura Deans Midland, and just was like, just do it all, you know? Because they're trademarking names of the people that they haven't even announced that they've signed. Like I'm seeing that like Adam Maxted is maybe and maybe not signed and different things. We finally got. Well, see, I don't know. Even this is kind of. I was gonna say we finally got confirmation about Shaw Samuels, but we didn't because on NXT UK this week they introduce Ed Harvey, and midway through the match, Ed Harvey grabs a microphone and goes, "I'm not Ed Harvey, I'm Shaw Samuels," and then they call him Ed Shaw Samuels the whole rest of the match.
And then he confirmed on Twitter that he signed as Shaw Samuels. He's Shaw Samuels.
So it's like, who the fuck's Ed Harvey? like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't understand this. Why are you introducing somebody as a different guy and midway through the match go, nah, it's fucking with you?
You remember when Deuce, was it Deuce, became Sim Snuka? And he literally, like, zero fanfare. Zero, none. He's already in the ring, and he just goes, I'd like to announce that my name is Sim Snuka. I am Sim Snuka. And that was it.
Remember Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins?
Yeah, what was that? They're brothers? They're Brett and Brian Majors, and then they were Edge for one night, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I'm Zack Ryder, and I like long walks on the beach. It's like, what?
Yeah, the Edge heads. It was like, well, tell us your real names. Oh, it's Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. And, well, that's not your real names, but still, yeah.
Well, like, why couldn't they? Why couldn't they just be Brett and Brian Majors?
I know.
Tag team.
I don't get it at all. Or like, still be the Major Bros when they were tag team. I don't know. Like,
whatever.
So Shaw Samuels now that's a thing. Even though he debuted as Ed Harvey, I've got that down on the roster list as like, well, there's two names there. Tony Gill could be Tony Gill. He could be Gurinder Singh or Gursinder Singh, and or is it Gurinder or Gursinder? Now I'm mixing myself up. Gursinder.
You messed me up. Yeah, Gursinder Singh.
Or he could be Rohan Raja.
No, on social media he's Rohan Raja. I think they're going with Rohan Raja.
All right, so he's probably going to be Rohan Raja. And we got now it's like Guru Raj and Giant Sanjeer and these types of people. So we got some of those names are now figured out. We've now figured out not just this week, but Ezra Judge is another name that they had done trademark for not too long ago. And on the Performance Center recruits page, that's got EJ Duca is Ezra Judge. So we still don't have names for some people. Like Cal Bloom didn't change his name yet. Zechariah Smith still hasn't, and Real Howard hasn't. Brianna Brandy hasn't. Maybe she has, and they just haven't said. It's yeah.
Brandy Lauren changed. Wow, I said that.
She's Skylar Story.
Yeah, she finally got around to like, all right, let's change our social medias now.
Did the name that I always bring up that you go, who is this person? Ivy Nile, Emily Anzulis.
Emily Anzulis. I know who she is now. She's an American Ninja Warrior.
Huh.
Yes, Emily Anzulis is officially Ivy Nile. They did change her name.
She hasn't changed it on Twitter at the very least, but
I had no fucking clue who she was.
so it's still one of those, like, I guess we'll figure out more of these things as time goes on, but that'll get us to talk about something with NXT, because NXT had some of these
Well, hold on.
changes.
Did we talk about all the trademarks?
All the ones I can think of.
We didn't talk about Joshua. Well, hold on. They
That's just
trademarked
his real name.
They didn't. But why? Hold on. But why did they trademark that and not Briggs? Briggs sounds better.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Briggs sounds better. And Tino Sabatelli,
Tony Sabatelli.
who was Sabby Piscatelli.
Sabatino Pescatelli, right?
But wasn't he Sabby?
Why do I know that off the top of my head? Sabatino Pescatelli? That's right, right?
No, yeah, because they used to call him Sabby Pescatelli. Why do you know that?
I don't know. That just kind of came out of my brain.
Well, Sabby was on AEW Dark for a bit when he got fired for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I
Was
think
he the
2 weeks.
mole? Was he the mole?
That's the prevailing theory, is that he was the mole. Now, did you ever watch the TV show The Mole?
No, when I say the word mole, I think of Fred Savage and Goldmember.
I loved the TV show The Mole. It was only a couple seasons, but it was like the point of the game show. It was a game show, but not a game show. It was one of those like reality competition type things. But it was a group of like, say, a dozen people, and one person from the very beginning was the mole.
The mole.
And
I
the
think I've
mole
seen this.
was trying to sabotage competitions so people wouldn't earn as much money. And you had to like, sometimes people would purposely sabotage the mission so other people would think that they're the mole, so they would get the questions wrong of who is the mole and get eliminated. And other times the mole would purposely try to win the competition so people didn't think that they were the mole because you weren't supposed to know who the mole is, whatever. That show is fucking great. They need to bring that back. And the soundtrack is amazing. It was done by Hans Zimmer, did the score, which is just crazy. Like the dude who did like, the Batman films and Interstellar and all this is like, yeah, I'll do the score for the mole. Like, yeah. But anyway, Sabatino and some other names like Mansoor had recently been like, they re-trademarked that.
Oh yeah, those Mansoor, Omas.
Which now it seems like it's Omas now. They just changed the pronunciation. It's Omas.
Leon Ruff, Dabakato. He's big. Left, right, which is the up, down, down offshoot, I guess. And but there's one more. Katarina Cortez.
Katrina Cortez, right?
I thought it was.
Oh, is it Katarina now?
It's Katrina. Let's just call her Katrina.
Catalina, Carolina.
Because the only thing I really think of when I think of this woman is that you voted her the worst of everything. She appeared twice, and you had a field day.
I had like 6 awards that I gave her. She's gotten a little bit better, as expected. But we know now what MSK is, kind of. We know that MSK, at the very least, is the tag team name of Nash Carter and Wes Lee, because they beat Jake Atlas and Isaiah Swerve Scott to advance to round 2 of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic on NXT.
I got this one way wrong because I didn't get it wrong. I just thought that they would be different names. Like I thought Wes would be Nash and Nash would be Wes.
And I thought that they were going to be renamed Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake. So I was way off on that one.
And I was telling you, I'm like, no, they said Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. You can't just do that. Even though we just talked about Zack Ryder and Hawkins.
And Sim Snuka. And Amas.
And, all right, listen.
Carolina. Joel Shanky. That's what he's named now. Like,
Okay, so you can, but they didn't. And these are the former Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier. Zachary Wentz is Nash Carter. He's married to Kimber Lee, who was, just skip my mind, Abby Lath in NXT. Desmond Xavier is now Nash Carter. They were an Impact. They're an Impact tag team. They were very big on the indies. People are super stoked to have them there. Triple H loves them. Like, he just does. He loves their passion. They had a nice little video of them debuting, and Ember Moon was like, "I love these guys. Everybody tries to copy their shit, but nobody can copy them." Uh, they shook hands with Shawn and Triple H. Shawn is bald. That always fucks with my, that always fucks with me. Like, he's bald, and it just bothers. It's so bothersome. Um, yeah, but they're MSK. We don't know what that stands for. I've heard misunderstood street kids. I've heard marijuana smoking kids.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that one.
I've said must smoke Kush because that was their gimmick. They just smoke weed. I like it. They're the fucking rascals. There's 16 teams in this Dusty Classic, and it's fucking great.
It stands for Martin Short Krampus.
I like Martin Short. I think he's great.
Mustard sauce.
Ketchup.
There you go. We might not ever know. It took for the longest time to figure out what TM61 was. Hated that name.
The mighty. What was 6-1?
That was like the area code or something.
Hell yeah. The mighty don't kneel. The mangoes don't kneel. That's your fucking fantasy league team name, is it?
Yeah, the mangoes don't kneel. They do apparently perpetually come in second place though.
Oh, Callum cheated.
Let's go back and talk about some other stuff. We'll get back around to NXT when we get around to that. But we do know not only is Superstar Spectacle a thing that's happening on January 26th, at least in India. If it's going to happen on the WWE Network, then I'll be watching it and we'll do a post show. Or at the very least, I'll do a post show. And the typical stuff that's on smark.moment.com, of course, you'll find like the results there. And I'll probably put up something on Bleacher Report. I'll probably put up something on eWrestling News. Check out those things, by the way. And they haven't fully announced this yet, but it seems like this is the case. It seems like Elimination Chamber is set for February 14th, or February 21st, I should say, because February 14th is NXT TakeOver.
You know what I like about this? That means that once we get past next week, we have like 3 straight weeks of pay-per-view shit.
Kinda.
Oh, no, wait, no, I'm sorry. Once we get past that first week of February, we have 3 straight weeks of pay-per-view shit. So between the Rumble and AEW Revolution, there's only one blank week as far as pay-per-views are concerned, and it's the first week of February. Because the 14th is new NXT TakeOver.
Well, the way that this is working out right now, this is where my whole, like, I have to keep adjusting our schedule for Smack Talk. This week we did our Royal Rumble fan tracks. So check that out, everybody. And then next week, we're going to do the mailbag. But we also, depending on if they announce any kind of things, we might do Superstar Spectacle predictions. We might lump that into the mailbag. We might not have anything to predict. So I don't know.
Ask Callum to predict the career trajectory of Dilshire Shanky.
I think it'll be slightly around the same as Giant Sanjir. But we'll have, like, next week, a week from now, it'll be closer to the 26th. So we'll have the Superstar Spectacle. Then we'll have the Royal Rumble. Then a blank week. Then TakeOver. Then Elimination Chamber. Then AEW Revolution. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Lots of events. Not getting the Superstar Showdown or Super Showdown, it seems, even though they had put that out there as happening between Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber. But then again, they probably just were like, hey, maybe that'll happen. Not happening. So it seems they still haven't announced it fully, so maybe that's not going to be the case. But with TakeOver being February 14th, it's not going to be February 14th. And then if you push it back any further, then it would have to be on the 27th, which is the same weekend as AEW Revolution. So I don't think that they're going to want to do that. 21st makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm here for it.
So we'll break down that stuff, of course, obviously closer to when we get to it, because
Wasn't it supposed to be Armageddon? I heard some rumor and innuendo that like they were gonna do Armageddon in February.
I don't remember ever hearing about it.
Who knows?
Plus, I don't think that that'd be a good time to do it, after the year that we've had.
Oh yeah, I guess Armageddon is just a no name at the moment.
That and Judgment Day, like.
You think they should do? Never mind.
Like, why haven't they done Fully Loaded? That's a fine name.
Well, the NRA just filed for bankruptcy. That might be a reason.
Really?
Yep.
How does the NRA? That's a different discussion. I don't know how that could be the case, but all right. We'll save that for the All Talk show at some point if we ever do another one of those. That'll be a part of the mailbag, maybe. I don't know. Dark cast or something. But we also now have some rumors going around. It seems like it's more and more likely that WrestleMania will be pushed back at least 1 week. It was originally scheduled for March 28th. Now it seems like it's heading more towards April 11th, possibly even April 18th.
That's 2 weeks, Tony, and possibly 3 weeks. So you say rumors, I say report by the great Sean Ross Sapp, and I believe it because
I believe it.
I work with them. So
they haven't fully announced it yet, so it's still not totally confirmed, but it seems like that's going to be the case.
Here's what scares me. I feel like they're trying to, even though the WWE champion currently has COVID, and we're not doing a Royal Rumble in front of people, I feel like they're trying to push it back because this is closer to when people will be getting the vaccine. And I feel like they're going to try to be like, hey, we can do WrestleMania with the crowd, Raymond James Stadium.
I think so too.
Go.
I'm not opposed to them pushing it back a little bit.
I am. I was excited for an early WrestleMania. And now we're going to get the latest, if these dates are confirmed, we will get the latest WrestleMania in history.
To me, the big change is whether or not they've got the creative for it. Because if they just end up taking a couple extra weeks,
a whole month of television extra,
right?
Oh, that's what video packages are for, Tony.
If they were to do something like, because we don't know what plans they have for WrestleMania. If their plans are to have a week WrestleMania and they also plan on having 2 or 3 extra weeks worth of a bad build towards that, that's going to be a real slog to get through. And I don't know if we can really do that.
Let's play around here because you're a fan of the new generation era. Those WrestleManias are shit. Like, they're not good. But they use people that are on their roster. Would you be down for like a WrestleMania that just features like the Forgotten Sons in a match and like Cesaro gets a featured spot? Like,
no, because that's a different era. At this point now, they've got way too many people that they can't prioritize,
I don't know. I think if you take out people like Goldberg and, Undertaker's not doing a match, John Cena's probably not doing a match, maybe this is the year.
If you give me, like, not to disparage them as individual performers, but just the way that they are on the roster, there's clearly a hierarchy. If you're like, we're going to have Chad Gable against Cesaro, the match, I'm sure, would be great, but it doesn't mean anything. Because last year they did that. Remember how, like, last year it was just like, it's Liv Morgan against Natalya. It was like, who fucking cares? And I like them both, but who cares? It's WrestleMania. If they want to make WrestleMania be a thing where they want to treat it as if it's WrestleMania, they have to treat it as if it's WrestleMania. They can't just say, WrestleMania is WrestleMania, and here's the same matches you'd get at Backlash.
I'm more so concerned with them putting on a competent WrestleMania and less star power, more I want to know what I'm doing.
I still don't think, but then again, who knows how things are going to change. I still don't think that no matter what, that they're not going to get fans. And if
I think they're going
they
to get fans.
If they are able to get fans, and it's not a total train wreck travesty that ends up screwing a whole bunch of people over or whatever, then that's the best case scenario. But if they find out that they can't have fans, I want them to do it as a 2-night thing again. Split it up. Make it easier.
I will say this right now. I never want that again. I thought that they did not have the roster power behind it, and it just took away from NXT TakeOver WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, but they can't do that this year the way that they normally would either. And we're getting TakeOver February 14th, so it's not going to be Mania weekend.
TakeOver Brooklyn. I miss going, oh my God, they're going to Brooklyn. And it feels like it's been 55 years since they've been to Brooklyn. But I don't know. I miss big time NXT.
If it's just another Thunderdome show, I say do it 2 nights, make it 2 smaller episodes of WrestleMania. And just, because they don't even know what their logo they're using because they don't know where they're going to have it at this point. But I'm not opposed to pushing it back to April 11th. It's just a matter of don't spend those 2 extra weeks doing nothing.
They really should just use the original WrestleMania logo.
Yeah, why not?
What's stopping you?
It's a good logo. Like, they use the same logo base for all the other ones. And it's not like it doesn't have any reverence to it or whatever. It's not like it's outdated. It's just used just a regular generic WrestleMania logo. Get rid of the Hollywood type of thing. Use that for, save that for when you do the Hollywood thing in the future. Because that's a good logo,
Especially if you do it in the Thunderdome. Use the original logo.
Yep. Don't do the pirate flag again. And don't do like, a sunshine emblem or something like that, because if it's in the Thunderdome, it doesn't seem like it's anywhere else anyway. Just do the generic WrestleMania thing. Be totally cool with that. Especially because I have a whole lot more graphics with the generic WrestleMania one. It'd be easier for me. But so I don't know about our schedule for the recordings, because right now I've got it listed as well, who knows how we're going to pass things around when it comes to this. Smark Madness, for instance, usually the way that I have that set up, that tournament ends with WrestleMania. And if they push that back an extra week, we can't really do Smark Madness, the whole March thing, midway through April. But yeah, that'll just lead up to it, or whatever. It's not the biggest deal in the world. So I know that's something. We don't know if we're going to get a Hall of Fame, so we don't know if we'll do the Wrestling with the Past Hall of Fame. We don't know.
Did we do it last year?
I don't think that we did, because we weren't getting the Hall of Fame.
We could just do it for the same crew. It's the same crew.
We might have to if we have to have an extra 2 weeks, I mean, we always have options. We could always do other things. So I'm not worried about me figuring out plans. I'm worried about WWE figuring out plans.
Hey, if you want Tony and I and Callum and whoever to just watch WrestleMania 11. I don't know why I went with 11, but if you want that, donate to the Patreon and pick your poison tier.
We could always do that if that's the case. There's plenty of options that we could do.
11 is short, by the way. I think we can do 11. That's LT and Bam Bam.
Probably about 3 hours. Maybe even less, actually. I don't know.
It's much less.
Really?
It's probably 2 and change.
Huh. So that's something to keep in mind or whatever. WrestleMania, I was going to say. Maybe it's going to be a mess. WrestleMania 37, not fully confirmed to have moved, but more than likely April 11th and not March 28th. So the other hot tags that I've got are basically just to say, let's talk about some of the stuff that happened on TV. And one of those
WandaVision was great.
Yeah, we'll get into that. They were planning on having Drew McIntyre against Randy Orton on Monday Night Raw, but Drew McIntyre tested positive for COVID.
Because COVID was like, listen here, I will not sit through yet another Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre match. I will not.
No, see, COVID had an issue with how Drew McIntyre wasn't respecting the legends. Why did they even try to show that footage?
Because that's what they had planned.
Like, why not just cut off that whole beginning of it and say, hey, last week, if you missed it, Goldberg came out and was like, I'm challenging you, and I'm challenging you for that title. And just be like, let's just move on from the fact that we made this big mistake. Instead, they showed it, and they had Drew McIntyre go, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, basically. So I don't know what they're doing with this whole thing, but we aren't going to get Drew McIntyre standing face-to-face with Goldberg up until the Royal Rumble.
Until the Royal Rumble, because the WWE champion, who was tested positive for COVID, accepted the challenge of a senior citizen man to meet him in the ring in front of nobody at the Royal Rumble for a wrestling championship.
Yeah, not the best.
But and he's determined. He's like, we're doing this match. This match is happening. Like, okay. You could have easily taken the night off. It's the Royal Rumble. Like, nobody's worried about the WWE Championship match.
The Royal Rumble is what's selling the Royal Rumble. Especially because now they keep changing these matches, but we'll get into that. But they tried their best to figure out another way to get people to tune in, so they do the whole Triple H thing. We get Triple H versus Randy Orton in 2021.
Well, I know you're going to shit on it, but I'm going to say this first. Triple H and Randy Orton, mostly Triple H, because Triple H is the man. It just puts everybody to shame on the microphone.
Oh, he does.
Just everybody.
Honestly, I think I would have made this judgment call too.
I would have made the judgment call to go, all right, book them for the Rumble. Fuck Goldberg. Give me Hunter. I don't care if it's 2021 and they first had their first match 16 years ago. I don't give a shit. Put Hunter in something because he's great. And he talks like a star. I don't know if he looks like the star that he once was, but he talks like a damn star.
Well, they did what they should have done, which was allude to the whole Legend Killer thing, because Triple H is one of the legends. So why wouldn't Randy Orton be like, I'm going to fucking punt you too? He should. So I liked that they did that. That was a good way of taking a negative and turning it into a positive. Wasn't my favorite segment in the world when we got to the end, because it ended with Alexa Bliss comes out and she shoots a fireball at Randy Orton, and credit to where it's due. That fireball looked a hell of a lot better than most fireballs do.
Yeah, because they could fucking pre-tape it.
Yep. But I still don't really like that whole idea. I still don't like the Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton feud. I still don't think that this is the right direction for them to go.
I just want to know where they're going at this point. I don't know. Like, I've completely lost interest in the idea of Edge because Randy Orton's setting motherfuckers on fire.
And I don't want Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt to continue all the way through WrestleMania.
What do you want for Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania?
To be perfectly honest, I want him to fight some kind of completely unknown person. To just kind of do something that I wouldn't see coming. But if not that, then do the weird-ass Willow thing that Jeff Hardy wants to do.
Well, he's too busy smoking with Matt Riddle.
No, they didn't do anything with that this week.
What did he? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Jeff Hardy had, for some reason, a match with Elias that was scheduled, but it ended up being against Jackson Riker, who almost immediately beat Jeff Hardy, and then they went into a match with Elias.
So here's why.
Eat up time.
COVID. There was a major COVID outbreak across all wrestling companies, according to Fightful Select. And if you noticed, a bunch of people on Raw did double duty.
But they've been doing that for a while now. That's what's so frustrating about watching Raw these days. They don't need that whole extra hour.
COVID's been going on for a year.
Still, though, It's frustrating as hell to watch. Like, somebody will cut a promo about how later on they're going to have a talking segment. It's like, God damn it, you know?
No, I meant like match wise. Like Jeff did two,
Mm-hmm.
Riddle
Keith Lee
did
did
two,
too. Sheamus did
Keith Lee and
too.
Sheamus
But same
did
match, but yeah.
two. I just think that that's weird, and that I feel probably has to do with the COVID thing. I can't say for certain.
I would personally love for them to not have them do the double duty thing, because it is frustrating to watch. Like, Riker beats Hardy, and Hardy goes, so you know what? I want another match with Elias. And then in the next segment, Keith Lee and Sheamus beat The Miz and John Morrison, and then they go, but you know what? Keith Lee and Sheamus are going to have a match. And then the next segment, Matt Riddle loses to Bobby Lashley and goes, yeah, well, I want to fight MVP. You can't think of anything else. I would rather them give people some time off and to have, like, you know what? Let's do some kind of, not a video package that just highlights the same crap all over again, but, like, I don't know, show us something different. Tell people, like, you can do a 3-hour episode of Raw and incorporate some extra stuff that you can set up ahead of time with the editing department that isn't just, let's take a look back at what happened last week. Show me, like, I don't know, some kind of inside the life of Amos. You know, like, do more of that kind of shit.
I wouldn't be opposed to them just going, "Hey, it's WrestleMania season. Here's this fucking sit around and watch Savage versus Steamboat." Like, I get that they have contractual obligations to fill, but is anybody really gonna complain if you're giving them like the full 92 Rumble?
Why not, like, over the course of the next thing, they just go with, yeah, the road to WrestleMania. Okay, over the course of the next few months, the last half hour or whatever of the show, we're going to show you a classic from the road to WrestleMania. And then they can cut out a whole half an hour, maybe even more, of that last third hour, because the third hour never does as good numbers. So then just go, all right, like, our main event for this night at, 9:50 or whatever is whatever it is, Triple H versus Randy Orton, whatever. And then afterward, we're going to go and we're going to show you the story of the Road to WrestleMania build from, I don't know, Brett and Yoko.
I'm
Cena
all
and
for
Triple
that.
H, like, just whatever it might be. I don't know, whatever you would want to pick that particular week. But, like,
Put
why not?
put Brett and Sean on Raw. Has anybody ever actually like sat through that whole hour? I mean, people obviously have, but have they ever actually showed it on TV?
I don't know. But why not?
You know?
Do it. It's an Iron Man match. Takes up a whole hour. Go ahead and do it. If your ratings go up, then awesome. If your ratings go down, can't go that much further down. So,
And maybe there's like that one kid who doesn't have the network, and it's just like, oh my god, I've never seen this.
and it's the fact that it's something that's nostalgia, people might want to watch it more than just seeing, okay, well, that person who just lost that match is now going to fight another match.
Yeah, or it's just like, here's why WrestleMania is important. Show the first main event with Hogan and T and all that. Like, here's why this is cool. Like, WrestleMania it's the pinnacle of WWE, and let's just show you why. Instead of going, well, here's Jackson Riker. We know you guys are cuckoo about Jackson Riker.
Let's put it this way: there is more. There's less than 36 weeks before Mania. They could show you the main event of each WrestleMania at the end of every episode of Raw.
I think that would make a lot of sense.
And they could just skip, like, obviously they wouldn't show the Benoit one. But you could show the Eddie and Angle match. Or you could show You can just not do that one and just, okay, well, we don't have 36 weeks.
No, there's Undertaker versus Kane. There's matches from that show.
Yeah, they could always just do that. But I mean, like, they wouldn't have 36 weeks to do every single one of them. So just show a variety of them.
I agree. Or just show, like, hey, look, we're going to show you Brett versus Owen. It's a good match.
Yeah.
We're going to show you Brett versus Piper. I'm really into Brett right now. It's a good match. Like, just show a bunch of Bret Hart matches.
Brett versus Austin.
Great match. Maybe one of the best.
One of the best, yeah. Brett versus McMahon. Don't show it. One of the worst.
I agree.
So Raw was a lot of like, these people had a match and then they have another match. Riddle loses the United States title match, but beats MVP to get his win back, that kind of thing. T-Bar beats Xavier Woods, nothing really there.
Let's talk about Ric Flair.
Yeah, he screwed over Charlotte Flair on purpose this time, because he's I guess banging Lacey Evans.
So I actually said this on the air with Fightful. I was like, I need to ask, like, is Ric Flair taking enough Blue Chew that he's okay with having Lacey Evans just drain the life force out of him? And that got a wow response from Sean Ross Sapp. So I must be doing something either very right or very wrong.
You know what I want Lacey Evans to do? If they can do it, because I don't know about like the COVID restrictions or whatever, I want so badly for them next week to have a segment where they film Lacey and Ric Flair on Space Mountain.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Because it's like, the people that get it will get it. The people that don't, little kids or whatever, will just be like, oh, he took her to the amusement park. What a fun date. And it's like, that's not at all what it means, hon.
So, like, I'm obsessed with watching 80s Ric Flair promos. And I need y'all to understand, it don't matter if it's Lex Luger, Sting, Ronnie Garvin, Dusty Rhodes. This man brings every promo back around to his penis. It's like the weirdest thing. It's like, no matter what, he could be talking about, I just lost the title. But you know what? Now, Ronnie Garvin, you're going to be like the girls on Space Mountain because you're not going to know what hit you. It's like, whoa. Why does everything go back to your penis? And yet here we are again.
In 2021, talking about Ric Flair's penis.
Where the 71-year-old man is like, I'm going to cost my daughter this match because I think that this woman wants to bang.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. Pussy galore.
We'll be doing our Goldfinger review soon, too. I don't like this feud, but I like Flair's involvement in it. Just because it's so stupid. Do the Space Mountain thing, WWE. Film it.
Lacey called him daddy on Twitter. Like, ooh, come on now. Like, come on now.
Is there going to be another one of those corn dog ads?
Where's the corn dog?
Ric Flair will cut a promo about it.
We're all over the place today.
Drew Gulak has nothing to do with the Lacey Evans thing, but he was like, this is one of my favorite parts about Raw. He's like, you know what? Everybody's announcing themselves to the Royal Rumble. I want to formally announce that I'm in it too. And Adam Pearce is like, you can't do that. I love Gulak. I hate that they treat him like he's still just, a low kind of guy on the roster, but it's like they know that Gulak is great, so that's good. And he decides that he's going to earn his spot by fighting AJ Styles. There's this weird thing where he offers a flash drive to Adam Pearce.
Well, you know why, right?
Something must have went over my head about that.
Well, it's got a PowerPoint presentation on how to beat Roman Reigns.
Is that what I was supposed to imply?
No, I'm just making that up.
Because I'm like,
good, doesn't it?
I was just like, he's got a flash. Wait, what's the flash drive for? Like, whatever. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those funny little things. Styles beats him, so Gulak is not official for the Royal Rumble, which is a shame. It's not like he would win anyway, but I hope that he gets a spot in there.
I do appreciate AJ Styles being like, I can declare because I'm a 2-time WWE champion.
Right.
What the hell are you?
Because that's what makes sense. You've won multiple championships at a high level. You can just assume that you're in the Royal Rumble.
And
Now,
then
somebody
Mandy
like,
Rose and Dana Brooke come out and just fuck that all up because they're like, nah, we're in it too.
yeah, but that's different for the women's roster because they just have less people available anyway. At that point, I don't know why they need to bother saying these people are for the Royal Rumble because it's like, yeah, you're on the roster, you're in it. All the women are going to be in it, unless you're like NXT and stuff. But then, even then, some of them, they're going to have to put some of them in there. Although some reports are like, oh, nobody from NXT. It's impossible. They need to. They literally don't have 30 people.
You're going to make me count, aren't you?
I'll count for you right now. I'll do it real quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people on the Raw side of things, if you count the champion. So that's not going to be the case. Only 12 people, and we don't know. For instance, Lana hasn't been around. Naomi hasn't been around. Alexa Bliss hasn't been wrestling necessarily. So
she's wrestling on Raw, isn't she?
Bliss hasn't wrestled in a while.
She's wrestling on Raw, I think.
This was coming up, Raw? I don't remember if they had announced anything like that.
Let me check, because I know that I'm going to go to Fightful real quick. I believe they're doing her versus Asuka.
Well, there's 11 on SmackDown, but that's counting the champion, and that's counting Chelsea Green. So you don't have... Oh, and that's also counting Sonya Deville, who's not as a wrestler right now. She's Adam Pearce's assistant. So they got 20 people. You need 10 people from outside.
Yes, Alexa Bliss will be facing Asuka on Monday Night Raw.
So they should just be like, everybody on Raw and SmackDown, they're going in there. But they want to make it more, Dana Brooke announced this, and Mandy Rose announced this, and Charlotte Flair announced this, whatever. I'm fine with it. We're in an era where everybody wants to make everything seem like it's a big deal, and that's an announcement. I don't know how many times we see like, stay tuned on this Twitter account because they're going to announce something. And what they announce is that next week there's going to be a trailer for a movie. It's like, okay, so you got an announcement for a preview. You got 2 days out of that. You know what I mean? That's the era that we're in, and it's annoying. But
right,
we got some of those things going on. Not too much else going on Raw. I feel like talking about it at the very least. Anything I'm forgetting?
I think that's fair.
So NXT, we talked about MSK winning. Grizzled Young Veterans are, I guess, back to being heels already. So they didn't fully turn.
Very antiquated terms, Teddy.
This whole Grizzled Young Veterans and Everrise and the Bollywood Boys and Tony Nese and Ari Daivari, everybody's spinning around like crazy. I'm just not bothering to update the heel and face turn list because it's not even really turns. But they flat out insulted the people that were ringside. So that's a heel move. They're heels. And they beat Everrise, who seemed more like baby faces, but they always keep acting like dicks. So they're kind of in the mix. I don't know. We got those. We got the Undisputed Era beat Breezango. So they're moving on too. We got Candice LeRae beat Shotzi Blackheart. So Candice is back in action.
She won a clean win. I feel like I haven't seen that in years from her.
Didn't Indy get involved herself?
I thought she just won with the neck breaker.
Pretty sure Indy got involved.
Well, either way,
now I'm
she
blanking
used the
though.
Neck breaker and won, and I liked it because she needs to win.
Candice does need to win more. We also got Finn Balor. He was cutting a promo, and Pete Dunne.
This dude said they stopped manufacturing the cloth I'm cut from. What? Who is teaching this man how to talk? Who speaks like this?
At least he's not talking about how he's a cat anymore.
I don't know. I think the cat's meow or whatever it was made a lot more sense.
I'll take they stopped manufacturing the cloth that I'm cut from way more over than Kitty's got claws or wherever he had said.
Stop playing in my kitty litter.
Finn Balor just comes up and he's just like, everybody's like, is this like some kind of avant-garde, you know, like, this is performance art. I get it. Finn Balor's like a college student, you know?
Instead of the demon, he's a feline.
Yeah, he's just taking this whole character in a different direction. But Pete Dunne comes out and he says in his awesomely monotone voice, just kind of like, the only reason you got that title is because I haven't gone for it yet, and I'm going for it.
Well, I find it hard to believe that he even gets a title shot, considering he lost to the guy that Finn Balor beat clean in the middle.
And Karrion Kross is definitely fighting for the title soon because Scarlett had a thing about how they're going to be going for Finn Balor. So
it's Balor Cross at St. Valentine's. Well, no, because Dunn should get
he
the
should get a
takeover
title
match.
shot. So maybe it's Dunn and Balor
And
at
Cross.
Valentine's Day. And then a month after that or something, it's Cross.
But then if I'm Cross, like both legitimately and in storyline, if I'm healthy, I want my belt back.
Maybe what they do, just if not, try to pop a rating or something. Maybe it's Dunn versus Balor on just NXT in the meantime.
Hmm.
And it's just like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks from now or something.
The February 3rd when AEW runs Beach Break.
Could be that, yeah. And
Yeah, I can see
then
that.
Karrion Kross is like, he gets the winner of that match kind of a thing or something.
Yeah,
Because
I
they
can
don't
see
need
that.
too much to build between Kross and Balor.
No, you don't, but you should, because it'll be a good build.
But you don't have a crowd really, and, you know, I think Kross
What kind
wants
of
the title
excuse?
back.
What kind
Balor
of
wants to
excuse is
retain it.
that? We've been working without a crowd for like a year.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they can get away with this. Kross used to be champion. He never lost the title. Balor won it. He wants to fight him. It's not like it's like you need an intricate story.
Fair enough.
Johnny Gargano beat Dexter Loomis. Not too much going on there.
Yeah, I hate Dexter Lumis. I'm really at the point where I'm like, I don't get it. I don't see it. I want it to stop.
I don't hate him by any means. I think he's got a lot of talent. I just think that the character is not handled the right way.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. I think I don't like the character. I called him on the Fightful podcast Boogeyman without worms, and I hope that you understand what I mean by that.
Yeah, that's how they're booking him. So
Because it's like I see him as ultimately like an oddity character, a comedy character. I don't see him as a guy who becomes
Undertaker.
yeah.
Yeah. But Gargano in theory will face Kushida and Leon Ruff next week. Imperium will face Lucha House Party. The Fight Pit is going to happen.
I don't like Tommaso Ciampa with hair. He's growing out a little bit of his hair, and it's making him look more old
I
than
didn't
he
notice
does
actually.
when he just shaves it. Yeah, like that really stuck with me. Cause how old is Ciampa? He's like 30 something, right?
Yeah.
He looks like he's like older than AJ.
He looks like he should be one of the ones that's calling himself a grizzled young veteran.
He really should.
Every time I say that name, I think that I should say it the way that Gibson does. Like, it seems weird to say grizzled young veteran instead of grizzled young veteran. We also got some confirmation about the women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic that's starting next week. So why didn't they just start it at the same time?
Surprises, Tony, please.
Just, I don't get that, but whatever. We don't know all the teams yet. Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter, the Spitfire Warriors, are assuredly going to lose to Mercedes Martinez and Tony Storm, who are a tag team for whatever reason.
I disagree with that completely.
You think Spitfire is going to win?
Well, the Spitfire Warriors should win because they're a tag team.
Yeah, but they're going to lose.
I don't give a shit. Io Shirai should cost them the match.
Martinez and Storm will totally win that round and lose the next round. For sure.
No, Spitfire Warriors should get a boost.
We also have Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart teaming up. Not surprised about that. I wrote up a whole section of an article that I had to eliminate because I was like, well, here are some teams that might end up being in there. And then they announced some of them, and I'm like, all right, well, they already announced them. I can't say they might be if they already are. So,
Ember seems like she took the worst parts of her WWE main roster run and brought them with her to NXT.
Yep.
She talks, and listen, if anybody's gonna try to dare say I don't like Ember Moon, you could shove it up your ass. Because I talk on this podcast all the time that I love everything Ember Moon does. But, like, she talks, and then I'm like, oh no, you're so lacking in charisma.
By far, her weakest point is the mic skills, and it's just a matter of fact. It's just she's better in the ring than she is on the mic.
You know, like she could never say a word, and I would feel so intimidated because she has this cool, unique presence about her, and then she just sounds like she's here to have a good time, and it's like I don't want that. I want to kill her. You know, like let's get some killer instinct in there.
She has that sort of thing that we've talked about before and other people have talked about before where it seems like she plays wrestler on the mic.
Yeah, why?
In the ring, she's great. Like, I mean, we've talked about it before. We've wanted her to be champion at different times. We've wanted, all these other kind of things. But it's the type of promo that you get from people who've watched WWE for years and are repeating promos.
Ember Moon could stand to get some of that Paul Heyman rub. That Paul Heyman rub that he's given to Apollo Crews, where he's just like, hey, screw you, you suck. Big E's gonna bust in your front door and bang your wife.
Is that gonna happen to Ember?
That's what Paul Heyman needs to give Ember. Like, hey, you suck. You just get fired up and be something.
Like, where's the passion
said,
kind of thing?
That is what Paul Heyman said to Apollo, right?
I don't know. I didn't watch Talking Smack.
Because they bleep it out, but he kept going back to it, and the only thing I could think of is he's telling him that Biggie's gonna bang his wife.
Is Apollo married?
Yeah.
Wait, he has a kid too, doesn't he?
He's got kids, yeah.
Well, Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, they make sense as a team, at least a temporary team, and they're gonna be in the mix, as is, of course, the way.
So if I'm a booker, and I'm not, but
no, you're a Robert.
Damn it! Thank you.
I'll tell you who a booker is, though.
Booker T.
Booker T.
Damn right. If I'm booking this, I'm like, just give it to the way. Give both of them to the way, and let them brag about winning everything.
Yeah. This is the way.
Exactly.
Xia Li squashed Valentina Ferro.
Yeah.
It's Ferro?
It's Ferro.
Makes sense. And she beat the shit out of her in the sense of squash being a 2-move match.
I love it.
Totally down for it. I am a huge fan of Xia Li, so for her to come out, look like a badass.
Saying that, huh?
I still go back to the first Mae Young Classic. I'm like, damn, she's not all that great. Let's see what happens. And then the next year, I'm like, okay, Xia, like you did a great job improving over that past year, and she just keeps improving. So you go from somebody who's
they deserve it.
Yeah, they're learning the system. They're proving that it works, and I'm a fan of both. I still want to know what all these random trademarks are, but
oh, we're gonna get there.
Different story about that. So I'm excited to see what happens next week. I want to see these women's tag team classic matches. I want to see the men's tag team classic matches. I want to see the fight pit match. Totally down for NXT next week.
And Undisputed Era won because, of course, they did, because they're great.
Yeah. AEW, I put off watching because I didn't really want to watch it that particular night. I was just like, I'm tired. I really don't want to through another couple hours of wrestling. I did go back and check it out because I got to. It's I kind of can't avoid watching the shows I watch. If I watch Dark, I'm gonna watch Dynamite. You know what I mean? But on Dark, at the very least, nothing all that crazy happening. We got the same sort of things. Who do you think's gonna win between Powerhouse Hobbs and Louis Valley? Who do you think's gonna win between Anna Jay and Alex Gracia? It's the same sort of stuff. But shout out to OTW guys, Tommy Winsall and Nick Alvarado going against each other.
Did Nick win?
Nope, Bear Country won.
All right, that's awesome. Bear Country's great. I like Bear Country.
You think that they're signed?
They should be. They're on every episode.
Seems like they might be now. On the AEW Dynamite New Year's Smash Night 2, there wasn't a whole lot going on that I thought was really newsworthy to talk about. Chuck Taylor's going to be the young boy from Miro. We all knew that was going to happen.
Now they switched it to Butler because,
yeah,
the rest of the world can understand that term.
They've got the whole thing with the Inner Circle still all fighting. So to be honest, that's been weak.
You know what I like though? I like that Santana and Ortiz were like, no, motherfucker, we're your tag team.
Yeah.
You brought us in to be your tag team. What are you doing? Go be world champion.
I liked how Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager are going to team up, and they're going to be the team of Sammy Hager.
Yeah, I like that.
And I like Jericho just being like, Sammy Hager, and he's like, what? What's that? Never mind. Just like, I'm older than that, like that kind of thing. I like that. Like, there's good things to it. It's just, I don't know. It's just not doing as well as I was hoping.
They've been, what's the word I'm looking for?
Stagnant?
What's that phrase? No, it's not stagnant. It's treading water, maybe.
Yeah.
With the Inner Circle ever since the Jericho MJF thing, and really in a lot of ways ever since Jericho lost the belt.
I was gonna say that.
Like he clearly the belt was so much better on Jericho, and maybe that's mentally because there were people there and stuff like that. But I think Jericho still had more to offer as champion.
I mean, even if that was the case, I don't know how they'd go past that point of Moxley, but
you don't give him Moxley until you're ready to have him drop it. Like, you could have had him face Hangman. You could have had him face lots of people.
I will say I skipped one segment. I didn't watch the waiting room.
Oh man, that's a mistake. Jade Cargill comes. I wish I was making this up. Jade Cargill's well, let me backtrack because Britt Baker's fantastic, and she's like, okay, they got little sparklers in their hand. You remember how Gilbert did his entrance? That's how Cody Rhodes entered the waiting room, and Britt Baker goes, "Yeah, we're keeping the contractual obligations up. Cody always has to have pyro." I thought that was funny. Britt made a joke about Cody's child having an action figure before she does. I thought that was good. And then Jade Cargill comes out and she can't cut a promo. She looks like $1 million. I haven't seen a star physically with that presence in a long time, but she cannot talk, my dude.
Good looking girl. She looks muscular, but yeah, the promo stuff. I didn't see this one, but the last one. Great.
And she brings up Shaq again because apparently Shaq just wants to kick Cody's ass for some unknown reason. Red Velvet comes out. They get into a little scrap. Then a video plays of Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, and Thunder Rosa says, listen, at Beach Break, we're going to fight.
So that wasn't a mistake for me skipping it then.
No, but you missed Jade Cargill. She's awful on the back.
I'm not digging the Matt Hardy and Private Party thing.
Okay. I like Matt Hardy. We're watching 2002 Wrestling Odyssey. Not Pauline and SmackDown. We're doing that. Matt Hardy version 1 is there. This is like an upgraded form of that. He's an obnoxious carny who's just like, yeah, I'm taking your money, but it doesn't matter because I'm making you millionaires, and then you won't care about money. He said something like that fans made him realize at All Out that, you know, they don't care about him. Blah blah blah. Matt Hardy and Private Party will face Matt Sydal and Top Flight next week. Almost said Top Wolf again. Not happening.
Good old wolf fight.
I think that'll be a good match. Hardy's good, you know. Good.
They're bleeding over a lot of stuff with being the elite, even more than normal.
Yeah.
And I like that, and I don't like it, depending on what they're doing. Like the Matt Hardy and Private Party stuff technically should be a serious storyline. And it's just being like, hey, well, remember the thing that you said on the show that we talk about how things are scripted? I don't know. I don't like that.
Mm. And when you put it like that, I understand because they do wink, wink, nudge, nudge a lot on being the elite.
I mean, they flat out say just like, well, we're writing up what's going to happen later on. And we're like, it's being the elite is totally not meant to be the same as when WWE does like Talking Smack. Because something like Talking Smack is meant to be like, it's blurring the lines just a little bit, but not much. But it's fully like stay in character, kind of, Like Charlie Caruso doesn't go out there and say, well, originally the plan was that this person was going to win, but we ended up having a meeting backstage and changed it. Like they don't say that kind of stuff. But in being the elite, they're like, Frankie Kazarian's there with the Young Bucks, and they're like, hey, aren't we supposed to be feuding right now? Like that kind of thing. Like it's very just, okay, this is behind the scenes. And I don't think that they should have that kind of a crossover. They can wink and nudge a little bit here and there for certain things, but not full-blown character arcs.
On the flip side, what they're doing with
Dark Order,
Hangman Page and Dark Order is great.
I keep saying Dark Order needs to turn babyface for sure, and this just proving it even more.
I think so. Next week they're doing it's Dark Order and Page against TH2 and Chaos Theory, or not Chaos Theory, Chaos Project, right? And I think that's dubbed the Brody Lee Jr. birthday bash, and I think Brody Lee Jr. asks Hangman Page to lead the Dark Order in a moment that makes us all cry. Would you not cry? Like, would you not like feel the feelings that would just make you cry?
I don't think I would cry.
I think you would.
If I didn't cry at Soul, then
I think you were close and you held off because you're afraid of crying.
I'm not afraid of crying. You're afraid. I don't know if I want Paige to be in Dark Order for real.
I do. Because they're lovable losers. And he is a lovable loser. I don't care what you say. He is. He's a drunk and he's sad and he's a bit of a loser right now. And I think that he's a good leader for the Dark Order. And they've clearly moved past it ever being Evil Uno.
Yeah, well, they tried with Uno in the lead. It didn't work.
Yeah.
But the guy that steals the show is John Silver. And I'll say this.
He's not going to fucking lead the Dark Order, though. He works as the lackey.
Right. That's where some of this whole dynamic is. They still got to figure it out. But my favorite thing at this point in AEW, to be perfectly honest, is John Silver defending the Being the Elite Championship. That's my favorite thing in all of AEW at the moment.
Yeah.
Just having him like, he's like, hey, I'm BTA champion. I'm a pizza boy. And I'm whatever. Like, just that awkwardness and just, I don't know. There's something about it that I enjoy that more than watching like Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers against Varsity Blondes, Danny Limelight. I'm like, all right, it's a match, whatever. Show me people playing Flip Cup. Like,
So I like Griff Garrison.
Yeah, I like Garrison. I like Pillman. I haven't seen much of Danny Limelight, so I can't really judge him. But I like the Varsity Blondes.
The more I look at Garrison, the more I'm like, he's the one. Everybody's looking at Pillman. Garrison's gonna like sneak up on people and be a big star.
Who would you equate him to? Who you think he's going to end up being, like the next such and such?
I think he could be the next Christian. Like Edge is still Edge, but Christian's got a great career.
I could see that. I can see that. That's a good one. And that doesn't mean by any way that means Brian Pillman's going to be the next Edge, but yeah, he might be. I don't know. Like
Pillman's going to be the next. Pillman is going to be. You know who I'll compare him to? Owen. Owen. We love Owen now, and I think a lot of that. I hope this didn't come off disrespectful. I think a lot of it translates to the tragedy because you just look at this poor guy who had this untimely end. But Owen, before that, was a major star who was in the main event scene, but not really. And I think that's Pillman Jr.
maybe. I don't know. Jury's out on a lot of those things. I do like them both. I don't like the idea that this Kenny Omega and Good Brothers match for Impact that I'm not going to watch anyway, but that's changed now because Shelly's out.
Yeah, and they put fucking Moose in, and God, I don't care.
The whole idea behind this was it was Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah.
And I get like, well, you can't just have people be unsafe. But they put it down as like undeniable factors or something. I forget how they worded it.
Unavoidable circumstances.
Unavoidable circumstances. Just say that it's COVID.
But we don't know if it's COVID.
I mean, if it is, then say it. If it isn't, then say what it isn't, because everybody's going to assume it's COVID anyway.
That's fair.
Like, if he has like a foot injury, be like due to a fucking broken foot or whatever it is, because everybody just assumes these days if there's some kind of an issue, it's COVID. And then if it's not, you have to clarify. If it is, just say it's COVID. Like, just we're adults. There's a fucking virus that's been out for over a year. Like, we can handle it. You can't just be like, this was, something else. This was a virus protocol. Okay, well, it's the same shit. So just say that happened, and that kills part of your event, your main selling point. Still Kenny Omega, so that's still the selling point is still there, but
no, I'm gonna tell you right now that it's significantly fallen for me now that I know it's not the Motor City Machine Guns.
Well, it's like what happened with Trish and Lita are gonna go up against Alexa Bliss and Mickie James,
and then it's
Alicia Fox instead. And it's like, well, I like Alicia Fox. I think Alicia Fox is better in some ways than she gets credit for, but she's not Alexa Bliss, and there was the whole driving force of the whole thing. So that sucked,
Correct.
Now, Alex Shelley's not the main driving force. It's not like you're getting rid of Kenny Omega, but it's like, well, Motor City Machine Guns
better than Moose
against Good Brothers, and that's like, that's the thing. Like, yeah.
But I'm already noticing on AEW television that Kenny kind of wants to help his friends, and Don Callis is like, nah, you don't fucking need them. You're good.
What is this whole thing they're doing with the Young Bucks and all that?
I don't know. You think I know? What do you think I know?
I don't know. I thought maybe you could figure out some kind of way that I can't, because I'm like, are you already doing a split? Did you last week get them together and you're already splitting them? Why is everybody doing this?
Because you'll never be able to tell.
I hate that kind of crap. The whole, like, we got a tag team here, let's break them up. Yeah. Give it a week, God damn. What are you, WWE? It's just like, speaking of that, they finally have the graphic up about the thing that they changed here, because on SmackDown, we're not getting Adam Pearce against Roman Reigns anymore. And that's a
Which
shame.
is lame, because I was so into that.
I was looking forward to that. And instead, they spent the whole night bouncing around, waiting for this whole contract thing, just to have the whole payoff be that Adam Pearce was planning on Roman Reigns signing this contract to set him up so that he signs a contract for a potential replacement, because Adam Pearce is like, oh, my old wrestling injuries are acting up. I guess I'm not fit to compete. So instead, it's going to be him against Kevin Owens. And I'm like, I hate that they made me think this way, because this is the way that I was thinking. Oh, God damn it. Why Owens? And then I was like, oh, I love Owens. I don't want to think that that's a disappointment, but I do, because Owens just flat out isn't going to win. And
yeah, a shit ton of people were like, why Owens again? And I felt bad because I'm like, Owens should not be the guy.
no,
That
he's
people are
so
like,
good. Like, he, for years, has been pushed off to the side and not given what he deserves. And now they're putting him in that spot, but they're putting him in that spot with nothing, which is going to be like, it's almost worse, you know? Because then
right.
you're going to look like you don't deserve it. And then they're not going to give it to you when you do deserve it, because they didn't do that before. It's like, I don't know, like, I can't think of a proper analogy for it, but it's the type of thing like, somebody asks you for something, you use up everything that you would want to use out of it, and then you give it to them and you act like they're supposed to be happy. If I were Owens, I'd be like, you're giving me this spot now? Fuck you. I should have been champion for 2 years. And now you're going to give it to me where there's no crowd, there's no reaction. I've already lost on this feud. I've lost to Jey Uso. Like, I don't know. This was a downgrade for me.
Which is a shame.
It shouldn't be, because Kevin Owens is great. And he's one of my favorite people that's on this roster. And I feel disappointed that we didn't get Adam Pearce. Because really,
Which
what's
is amazing?
like, last man standing, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. Okay, so Roman Reigns beats Kevin Owens, and it's just that he loses in a last man standing match. Skip. You know, they might do some great stuff. It's not going to feel as great because you don't have a crowd there.
Really underrated last man standing match, Kevin Owens, Dean Ambrose from the 2016 Royal Rumble. I think it was 16. I like that match a lot.
I don't remember it.
Well, you should go back and watch it.
Well, no.
All right. I can't argue that.
So yeah, I'm disappointed in that. I'm disappointed that that Daniel Bryan cost me some more fantasy league points, because he's just losing all these things now. But I'm still thinking that that's just building up to him winning the Royal Rumble.
I hate that. I
The
hate
whole
everything about that sentence.
lose, and that way you'll win, and then we can offset it. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Not a big fan when they do that, but they do it all the time, so I'm not surprised.
What? Let's talk about Nakamura. Dude got his non-lyrical theme song back. So I guess that's just like, hey, he's babyface. He's got his babyface theme song.
Someone left a comment about that, asking if that means he's babyface. To me, that doesn't.
It does, actually.
It doesn't necessarily mean for sure, but it's a very strong indicator.
That's so stupid.
But it's like, why would that matter? You know, why would, like, he could still have the lyrics and just be babyface. You just book him against heels and he's babyface.
They're
like,
literally the same song, though.
right.
Like, just because one has lyrics, the other one allows people to go, oh, that's all it is.
It's not like the lyrics are, screw the fans, I'm a heel, you know? Look at that. Shawn Michaels has a whole song that he never got rid of when he was babyface or heel, of him being like, you know, I'm so great and whatever.
I'm so sexy. I'm so like, look at me. I'm awesome.
Batista never changed his when he went babyface or heel.
Right. Hunter never changed his.
Yep. Undertaker. Same deal. Kane didn't have to change his. Well, I mean, they changed, like, some of them had lyrics and some of them didn't, but like still the same basic song.
I think maybe the only example of this is like The Rock when he did Hollywood. Rock, Austin, and Hogan are the only three who I think really changed theme songs because they went heel.
So, I mean, they booked him against Jey Uso. It seems more likely that that's a babyface turn. Not opposed to it. That's somebody else for Ziggler and Rude to fight. But why still Ziggler and Rude? Like, that's a story for another day, I guess. I don't know. It'll depend on what they do for WrestleMania. If it's Ziggler and Rude against anybody at WrestleMania, even if it's the Street Profits, because then it's just more rematches, I feel like that's a downgrade compared to Street Profits against somebody else. Still think Street Profits versus Usos would have been the best match.
Well, then they just decided not to give us that. And I guess Jey Uso's in the Rumble. And that's weird because we're living in a universe where Jey Uso is one of the biggest names in the world. Like, what?
Maybe their plan here, maybe Jimmy's not ready to go. And maybe they're going to go Ziggler and Rude drop the tag titles at Mania to Dominic and Rey.
I'm good with that.
And then the Usos beat Dominic and Rey. And then eventually Street Profits beat Usos.
Fair enough.
Wouldn't be opposed to that if that's the case. But then again, that sucks for the Street Profits. They have to wait.
I agree. But they had the belt for a whole year, basically.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can't be on top 24/7. Unless you're R-Truth.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Beat you to it, though.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns taking on a little bit of an apprentice with Apollo Crews. But that was a little strange, but interesting.
Yeah. I like it, though. Because, like I said, Paul Heyman basically told Apollo Crews that Big E was going to bang his wife.
Natalya beat Liv Morgan by pinfall through some distractions because Tamina came out for some reason to complain about Billie Kay, who was hanging around with the Riot Squad. Billie Kay looking good as part of the Riot Squad, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going with this whole thing, but I didn't mind it.
You know what, though? Billie Kay looking good. Liv Morgan never looks bad.
Yep.
I just, like...
Hey, for that matter, I like Natty's outfit. Like, it's just kind of like, if we're judging based off of that. Sexy Superstars tournament does come around until, later on this year, but...
I'm so glad that all of these women have officially established that they don't need to get dolled up for anybody, because how many of them have turned up their appearance game in the COVID era? Sasha Banks is just like showing up and showing out for no one because she's the boss. Carmella for no one. Billie Kay, Liv Morgan, they all look great, and it's not for a crowd. You don't need to deal with any weirdos in the crowd. I love it.
Thankfully, you don't have to deal with those weirdos. Not a fan of Sasha Banks wanting to fight Carmella again.
But
I do like that they might do something with Reginald, though, because it's like Banks wants to fight Reginald before Carmella.
Intergender wrestling.
Not the biggest fan of intergender wrestling, but Reginald flips around. So, I don't know, maybe there's something there.
Here's what I'll say. Well, I might not be the biggest fan of it. It's hugely popular. So, do it.
Apollo Crews beat Sami Zayn. He held the tights. Big E was taking offense to that.
I thought they were just going to full on, like, to turn Sami Zayn would be a smart move. Right? If they can just, like, get to a place where, okay, we're going to have people back, so let's turn all their favorites babyface. Be amazing. Genius.
And the only other thing I think we had here was Bailey's got a new talk show, Ding Dong Hello, which I like the name.
I hate that that's my favorite slogan. Ding Dong Hello. It's just like...
I like that they incorporated the door, I didn't like the segment all that much, but I like that they're trying it, And it's certainly not the worst out of all these two, because it's like we've had Carlitos Cabana, we've had
and if she's doing it on a set, like, that's all the more better, because I think that's one of the cool things about the waiting room is it's actually like its own set.
Well, here's another thing. Why is there such a crossover between Bailey and Britt Baker? They both call themselves the role model. Bailey's doing this thing now of having a talk show where she's being like cheesy, kind of 80s, 90s talk show person, which that's what the waiting room is presenting itself as, is sort of like cheesy Ellen DeGeneres type thing. They are just like flat out copying each other.
Well, I don't have the rest of the joke, but the punchline is Adam Cole, Bailey.
the whole rest of the joke, the beginning of it and the middle of it.
Like that's the joke.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, that's 2 or 3 things now. It's getting a little past the point of not being coincidence. It's becoming a pattern.
Yeah.
That's it for SmackDown. That's it for most of those things. But we did have something weird with 205 Live, which we don't normally talk about here. But 205 Live.
We gotta talk about 205 what?
Had Killian Dane on it.
That's right.
Because he's 205 plus.
So I think that they're just gonna merge and make the Friday show like a SmackDown for NXT or like an NXT for NXT.
They've talked about this NXT for NXT type show. I've said multiple times in the past they should just use the name Stomping Grounds because that's what they have. The actual like trademark for it makes sense. You just call it NXT Stomping Grounds and you're good. Get rid of 205 Live.
Yeah.
The fact that you limit it to just the cruiserweight division means you only have the same people. And NXT Stomping Grounds, as they should call it, could incorporate anybody from that show. And it's just a third hour for NXT. Much better idea.
I like it.
That way you can throw in the people like on the Performance Center side of things, where there's no expectation to be like, oh, this has to be just the big names. But you can put the big names on there too and say, you know what, on one, it's an hour long per week, and we're going to have 3 matches each episode. One match is a bunch of trainees. One match is a women's match, unless the women's match is part of the trainees, and then you could, flip-flop around or whatever it might be. And another match is the main event, and that's either the men or the women, depending on who when you do. You could do Io Shirai defends the title, or you could do Kyle O'Reilly fights Danny Burch.
Right. I like it.
That'd be so much better. Like, it's not to say to crap on 205 Live, but 205 Live is past the point of no return. You're not going to get more people to watch it. Next week, we're going to get women's division action on 205 Live, which means now, over the span of 2 weeks, they'll have had not only somebody who's way past the 205-pound limit, but also the women's division. And they've long stopped being live. So why is it 205 Live? It's not live. It's not 205. So what's the point? You film it around the time you do NXT in the same spot as NXT, and you incorporate anybody from NXT. Just call it NXT Stomping Grounds.
I agree.
Hopefully that'll be the case. Nothing indicating that quite yet. But then again, we had NXT used to be a game show. So we had ECW before NXT.
Back the obstacle course challenge for SmackDown next week.
Now, I'm more interested in seeing that, for instance, than if they said that they were just having a rematch.
That's fair.
Give me more story these days, like the matches are good and all for if you just want to see a really good match, if it's a really good match. But like we said with Raw, just because you said somebody has a match and then they have another match, I like Jeff Hardy. I don't want to see him wrestle twice just to fight Jackson Riker and then Elias. They already had those matches. I don't want to see a rematch again and again. So give me something different. Give me the obstacle course. Cool.
I agree.
Those are the hot tags. I don't think there's anything else going on. Anything I'm forgetting?
No. I highly doubt it. I'll do a once-over of the news.
In the meantime, I will plug the fact that we've got all the things that are happening coming up next that I had said before. One of them being the mailbag that's currently scheduled for next week. We're going to try to do that Wednesday afternoon live on the YouTube channel. So ring that little notification bell because then you'll get the email alert of when we do go live. It's usually around 3 p.m. Eastern. And I am still setting up some new stuff about some new computer type things and whatever. So we might have some technical difficulties at the beginning of that. Although I think I might have hammered out those details. So hopefully that won't be the case. And if we end up doing it a little bit earlier, we'll let you guys know when we do. So check out the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/the Megamaniacs. Pay attention to the Twitter account and the Facebook page, and you'll find more information about that when it comes down to that. But if you can't join us live for the mailbag and you want us to answer any particular questions, not only can you take advantage of the mailbag priority tier, but you can also just send in your questions ahead of time, and I'll backlog those and we'll get to them next week.
I like it. And you can follow me on Twitter at DudeFelice. Check out Fightful.com. Check out Fightful Select. I should have some special things in the works over at Fightful. And yeah, more about that when it actually releases.
Pay attention as well to the next episode of the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast coming up tomorrow.
Oh, Jesus. Yes, I'm sorry, Callum. The Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast, we're doing the January 16th, 2003 episode, which will feature a main event match of Brock Lesnar and Rey Mysterio against the Big Show and the A-Train. It will feature Kurt Angle and Team Angle against Chris Benoit and Edge. And yeah, lots of good stuff. You should be seeing the Royal Rumble 2003 in your Patreon feeds this coming Tuesday. Tony joins us on that one, so it's a good time.
Did that feel like a lifetime ago that was recorded?
It feels like a lifetime ago. That's why I had to think about what I was saying.
That's crazy. I don't even remember when we recorded that.
It was 11:30 at night last Saturday.
Like March 2017 or something?
Yeah.
So that's coming up. Obviously, you'll hear us next there. Then we'll loop back around here, get into the mailbag, get into the next hot tags, get into whatever we're going to get into with Superstar Spectacle. And
keep an eye on Fanboys because we got a whole lot of good coming your way.
We not only have the James Bond podcast that we're working on, A Review to a Kill, but we also have coming up soon, we're going to do the fan tracks for Mulan that was sponsored by Guest 5 as part of the Patreon. And right after we're done recording this, we're going to record something for the Patreon that I mentioned before. We're going to do our first impressions of WandaVision. So if you want to check out that episode, you got to subscribe to the bonus feature tier on Patreon. And anything else that's happening on Fanboys or on Smark, check them out on the websites. Follow me at Tony Mango all over the place. Click around, hit the subscribes, hit the follows, hit the likes, and hit the links. Play some golf. I don't know. I just rewatched Goldfinger, so I got that on my mind. But we will see you when we see everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this edition, episode number 460 or 476. I'm going backward in time. In the bag. Adios for now. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.